Good morning, Rob. So we have here the equal and unequal fractions task cards. What can you tell us about these?
So, I mean, like any task card, and I think, sometimes more traditional Montessorians might have called these command cards, but it simply means that these are cards that children, it's shelf work, that children are going to work on independently. So the teacher has already given a lesson to the child on it, and so this would almost be considered like a second period work. They're fine, there's a certain comfort level with this, but now they need some independent work that they can do on their own. So here, with equal and unequal fractions, here the child has already, you've gone through the concepts of just what is a fraction, right? We've talked about that a fraction really follows two rules. It has to be fair, and whatever it is has to be divided into the same equal amount of parts. So they've gone through the fraction insets, for instance, the metal insets for them. They understand what a numerator is. They understand what a denominator is. And here, this work is just really focusing in, isolating the difficulty, as we always like to do in Montessori, with just what is an equal fraction and what is an unequal fraction. What I like about this set is it's set up into a couple of different sections. So this first section here is just asking the child how many pieces are these shapes divided into. Is it divided into one shape? Is it divided into two shapes? And so on the back is a nice, just identify the following shape and the number of parts that it's been divided into one whole circle. But what I like about this is I sometimes think that Montessori children, because we do so much fraction work with red circles, that they think every fraction has to be a red circle or else it's not a fraction. And what this does is shows that, well, really, a fraction can be anything, it just needs to be one whole. And so we have a variety of shapes, and of course all these shapes are taken from the geometry cabinet. From there we move on to is this a fraction or not? Has it been cut into two? And this is great. I mean, we recognize this as being really one of the initial presentations that we do with children is we take a paper circle and we cut it into unequal halves, and we give that up. And so clearly these are unequal, and then we cut it into equal halves. And so this is really definitely a defining presentation that the teacher's already done. And so when the child encounters it with the task cards, it's something that they're already familiar with. And then it moves on to something a little bit more. I think there's another level of complexity here, which says what do you have here? State whether the following is true. Is this 4/4? And well, again, if the child is clear on what those rules are, that is it fair? Has it been cut into the same amount of parts? Well, clearly it hasn't. It's been cut into 4 parts, but they're unequal, and so no, that's false. And then I would say the last bit also is in comparing fractions. And so here we have, do these figures represent equal fractions? I think this is a higher level. This is your 6 and 7-year-old. Depending on when in your classroom or in your home you've decided to present this. But certainly with all the other things that we're presenting to children, it might be, I don't know, what do you think? It was 8, 9 years old, sometimes before, 7, 8, 9 years old before you're really doing fraction work. Yes. And this is probably a higher level thinking card in that we see that this represents 3/4 and this also represents 3/4. Yes. So these are equal fractions, even though they look very, very different. Yes.